We are present in 6 West African countries: Ghana, Gambia, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. On the East African end, we're present in Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, and Tanzania. We also have a full-fledged commercial banking license in the UK. We are listed on the London Stock Exchange. It's actually 10 years this year since we got listed on the London Stock Exchange. And Guaranty Trust Bank shares trades on a day-to-day basis on the floor of the main market of the London Stock Exchange. We are also listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. In terms of business size today, Guaranty Trust Bank as a group has a balance sheet size in excess of $11 billion. Shareholders' funds is in excess of $2 billion. And annual profit 2017 is in excess of $600 million. Our plan is to be one of the top 3 financial institutions in Africa. Today, we are the 9th most profitable bank in Africa, the most profitable bank in Nigeria the last 5 to 6 years, the highest priced financial stock on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. We are a bank with a lot of distinguishing factors to our name, and we are known for coming into the market with innovation and excellence. We are the first sub-Saharan African institution to actually float an Euro bond in 2007 without any government guarantees of $500 million, which was oversubscribed. Thereafter, we have floated 3 other Euro bonds in 3 different tranches of 500 million, 400 million, and 500 million respectively. The last tranche is currently running and due to be paid back in November 2018. Truly, that's just a brief of who we are. We're in Tanzania today. Why Tanzania? A lot of people have asked. Well, we came in here about 2 years ago, 2 years plus now since we came into Tanzania, but we only commenced operations some 7 months ago. And the question has been, why did you choose Tanzania? The truth is Tanzania is one very amazing market in the African space today. If you look at growth rate across the African environment, it's quite tough to find a market that has the kind of annual economic growth rate that Tanzania has. Tanzania still has growth rates in the region of above 7% today, which is strange to find. Like I mentioned earlier, we came into East Africa 5 years ago, acquired a bank called FINA Bank in Kenya. We acquired that bank. It was an $100 million deal for us. So that transaction gave us presence in Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda. As of today, we have over 30 branches across these 3 countries. And in the course of establishing or settling down these franchises, we were out to get presence within the entire sub-region, and we realized what Tanzania was missing in order to complete the presence within the East African bloc, and that was what brought us into Tanzania. And we came into Tanzania, engaged with the regulators. That took us some time until we got a provisional license in June 2016, and from July 2016 we actually brought in capital here to set up the bank. However, in line with our own style of going into markets, we don't just want to come into markets and come up with strategies that we have used in other markets. You can only survive in a new market by localizing your strategies. So when we came in here, we decided first we were going to build an office here. We are the first bank in Tanzania today, I'm sure in the history of the banking sector, that has come in as a new bank and decided to build its own office. That is to confirm our presence and seriousness in the market. We are core professionals and we are not here to take short gains from the market. Outside that, we decided to study the respective sectors within the market, and we did this with core Tanzanians. Today, we have a team of 36. There are only 2 Nigerians here. Every other person in the bank today are Tanzanians. And that's the way we run the franchises. The franchises are core local franchises, and we believe there will be a time when the top executive role in the bank will be handed over to locals. In addition to working with the locals, we like to work with the youth. And so when we came in the last 2 years, we decided to engage fresh graduates from local universities. We recruited about 30 young graduates, which we trained within the country. And they are working in the bank today. They are all full-fledged staff of the bank today. They actually did exceptionally well in the course of the training program. And they are building a banking career today. However, in the course of trying to set up a bank, it was not going to be ideal to just run the bank with just freshers. So we had to carefully look within the environment and recruited additional maybe about 6 or 7 experienced hands to work with the team. And that's how we are running today. In addition, we also, after studying the market, we went as far as putting a 5-year strategic plan in place for the bank, which was developed in-country locally. So whatever strategy we are running today was built by the current pioneer team and the understanding of the Tanzanian market, because that's what we believe will see us to the next stage and our plans within the environment. Excuse me. In terms of what is our focus, what is the plan for Tanzania? Truly, we see Tanzania as a very strong, youthful population, and it's still growing. So for us, we believe there's an opportunity there. There's also significant opportunity within the small and medium scale enterprises sector, because one thing we also see in Tanzania, which is quite commendable, is that every young person, every small individual you see is trying to set up something, at least do something. And I look around, you go into some of the shops in Tanzania and you realize that a lot of the agricultural products you have are being refined and being put in proper retail outlets where you can actually export some of them. And if you look around the African continent today, we are all endowed with significant resources, but how many countries are turning those resources into income-earning assets? Tanzania, for me, is doing that today, and truly we see opportunities of supporting these entities in the course of growth and ensure that the products manufactured in Tanzania can be taken beyond the shores of the country. In today's banking world, today banking is gone completely digital, and what every client looks out for is convenience. It is that organization that makes life easier for you that you will look towards. And in order to achieve convenience for your customers, you can't get it done alone. It requires collaboration, it requires innovation, it requires partnership, and truly that is all we are out to do in Tanzania. We would appreciate that you try, you pass through the franchise we have. We'll also like contacts to pass by to understand what your needs are. Banking, like we said, is convenience. It's about creating a distinguishing factor why you should bank with Guaranteed Trust Bank. Every bank virtually sells the same thing. It's where I put my money and where I can spend my money. That is virtually what you do through a bank. Or you just look for some intermediation in the course of trying to execute a transaction. However, it is that bank that listens to you and does ask you, what are your challenges today? Is there a way we can give you a customizable product that can address your concerns? Then when you bring that to the table, you see a reason why we are the bank to come to. We have also partnered with some international organizations that have always been our partners in our own close to 30 years of experience, and that has supported us in settling into Tanzania. But one thing that we will also say significantly assisted is we're a bank that takes corporate social responsibility very seriously, and in the course of settling into Tanzania, we've done some few things in this perspective. So in the course of trying to settle into the country, truly those simple, very small things we did in country supported us in the course of trying to navigate the regulatory policies within the country while settling down in the country. But all I would say finally is truly we're a bank that is, excuse me, that is driven by 8 orange rules. These rules are innovation, trustworthiness, excellence, service, friendliness, simplicity, corporate social responsibility. In everything we do, we try to take this as our guiding principles, and truly we are core professionals. We will focus on what we are how to do as bankers, ensure we drive that and build that culture in the team that we have. One thing we keep imbibing in the Tanzanian team that we are growing is please focus. A career is about focus. If you want to build a professional career, you need to be focused. It's not going to happen in a short time, but in the long run, you will realize that what you have gained and what you have put in the course of developing the career will take you to that next stage. Thank you, and it's a pleasure being here. I would invite you to try to have an experience of our services. We are located at Plot 4, Regent Estates, Victoria, opposite the new Vodacom head office. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jibril. You know, anytime a Ghanaian and a Nigerian meets, the one thing that we argue about is who has the best jollof. But today, we are not arguing about jollof, it's a knowledge sharing space. So, thanks for the insightful presentation. Now we are moving to our next presentation. This amazing business is from Alliance Assurance. They've taken this assurance to Uganda and other countries. So it's going to talk about the experience, the challenges they face taking Alliance Assurance to different countries. So with the hands of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let's invite Mr. Krishna, the CEO of Alliance Assurance.
For giving us the opportunity to speak about Alliance taking our business to the region here. Initially, anyone would ask, what is so great about going regional when we all use Apple, Samsung, Oracle, Unilever. All these organizations are huge in size. They are all over the world, so mighty, and their uniform products, homogeneous products are everywhere. What is so great about a company like Alliance going regional, and why I am here to speak about it? Probably I perceive the intention was to see what is this homegrown 100% Tanzanian owned company, how it could go from its humble beginning to the outside the borders of this country. Yeah, today we are in Comoros, Uganda, Rwanda. We have a couple of subsidiaries within Tanzania. Probably in a short space of another 1 year we would be in Kenya. And what took us abroad? First thing, as you all know, many of you would know, that insurance sector was a closed sector. Meaning thereby there was two insurance companies called National Insurance Company, which still is there, and ZIC for Zanzibar and NIC for the mainland Tanzania. In 1998, insurance sector was privatized and many companies came on board. Alliance was one of them. We were probably fifth or sixth company which came on board. So we practically started operating in the year 1999. Then in 2009, say after 10 years, we have some parameters for ourselves, which is very similar to the parameters for rating, parameters by which a company is known, to be how they are placed in the market. So in 2009, we almost reached all the parameters which a good insurance company should be aiming for. Then I said, what do I do? Because I personally feel that if we have achieved something, and there is no point remaining there doing the same thing again and again, year after year. Then I said, either I need to quit, go out, or do something different. So the natural way forward was going out, replicating what you have been doing here in those 10 years, first 10 years. So our first priority was Kenya, because Kenya, as you all know, is a powerhouse economy-wise, talent-wise, skills-wise in this region. But there's a process, like how do you put it, how do you go abroad? You can't say, okay, I'm starting a shop next door. So I had presented a paper to the board saying that we need to be doing something different. We have done whatever we had to do here, and in fact synergies what we would get going abroad would also help the flagship company back home in Tanzania, and we will also earn revenue for Tanzania, and we will also be known. Probably at that time there was no company, no insurance company, even today there is no insurance company, Tanzanian company going which is there outside, whereas you have Kenyan companies, you have South African companies, you have companies from other parts of the world into Tanzania, but no one from Tanzania outside. So, but our shareholders said, okay, good, we like it, but the fact is, since we have, our shareholders had presence in those days in Djibouti and Comoros. Comoros being proximate, we said, okay, fair enough, I'll take this leaf from them. We went to Comoros. In Comoros, we are the second biggest, but from the kind of products what we offer, we are, I would say, the most well known, and we are very prominent in Comoros. We have 5 branches in Comoros. What we did and what should be normally done is we didn't immediately go out. Okay, so we have decided to go regional. The next year, after starting our operations in Comoros in 2012, we didn't go to any other country. We stabilized. Then in 2013 end, we got license in Uganda. 2014 we started. So in Uganda we are there, and in 3 years time we made the break even and we made profit. Once we touched that milestone, our immediate thing was, okay, where next? Of course, simultaneously we plan. What do? We don't start operations everywhere, but step by step. So third country is Rwanda, where we are now, and probably in another 6 months' time or so we'll break even, because Rwanda being a smaller, relatively smaller country and smaller operations, and our investment has also been relatively smaller, and we are very hopeful probably 6 months to 1 year we would break even. Simultaneously, we have started working on our project Kenya. So we should be in Kenya probably 1 year from now. So this is our this is the story of a Tanzanian company, how it became regional. Probably the organizers want me to speak. What are the prerequisites? Because Tanzania is one of the emerging countries. Unlike the previous speaker who mentioned about a Nigerian company, you all know Nigeria came into limelight from early 60s to mid 60s. They have a company who, the bank which is here, which is listed even in London Stock Exchange. Relatively speaking, we are a smaller organization. Take pride, but that we are marching forward. So let me talk about prerequisites. Wherever, see, I know that we have been in three countries, and the fourth country we have started talking. The first question people ask is, what is that you're going to add in value? What is so great about you? What is that you're going to bring as new to our country? So, frankly speaking, you need to be good in what you're doing in your own country before you think of going out. So you should be successful. So, with regard to alliance, as on date, in general insurance, we are the biggest. But I would say, in insurance, it is not important that whether what is your top line. What is more important is overall growth. You need to be having a good net worth. You need to be having top line. You need to be having net return line. You need to be having underwriting profit. You need to be having investable assets and getting your investment returns. Your spread has to be big enough. You should be having branches within the country, outside the country, so that wherever changes are quite common, and because of the changes, sometimes changes could be in your favor, could be against you. If you have well spread, that stabilizes you. So these things together make us much more resilient to any economy where we operate. And we have a rating of AA, which is probably one of the strongest rating in East Africa. In our group, we are the most strongly rated company in Tanzania. Then the capital. You need to have capital. These days, or for that matter, the capital is scarce. When you talk of going overseas, whether do you have capital? Have you generated capital within your system? You go to the shareholders, they are not going to give you capital. Even if they give capital, they need to have confidence in you to say, okay, yes, take this money. But I would say that if you can flow back, you can generate capital within your own means, then that's a way to go forward. So capital is very important. Then another prerequisite is steady expansion. You don't go, some of the companies which has failed recently, I can remember of one or two in Kenya, they expanded, they had a very good model. They were customer carrying companies. Where they went wrong is they expanded too fast. So you have to be very, very clear on that aspect as well. My first speaker today mentioned about trust as one of the factors. When you go to a new country, the trust is a big factor. Okay, they are prepared to meet you, give you appointment, you call them for a meeting like this, lunch, dinner, whatever. People are happy to come, but business doesn't come easy. They want to know what is that you're going to do different from what my brothers and sisters who are here in this country are going to do. How are you different? Are you going to be there for a long time, or you are with a briefcase to go out? So this is a real challenge. So what do? We say we have perfected, because again service, everyone talks of service. But service is something which needs to be tested. So our point is what we say, our point of sale is, pitch what we say is, give us a small portion of your business, very small portion, insignificant portion, and test us. Second thing, we are successful in Tanzania because we feel ourselves as a solution provider. I don't call ourselves as an insurance person. I say when you run into difficulty in any product, For any insurance problem you have, come to us. You not imagine, it was first year we got a premium of 450 million Ugandan shillings, and I am talking about Uganda. Second year we got 2 billion Ugandan shillings. Whole of second year. 2 billion means it would not even translate to $800,000. So our shareholders, one day they called me for we had a cocktail. We had a cocktail. So our shareholders grabbed me, they said, why don't we have lunch? I said, okay. I was wearing a tie, I said, of course, I'm going for a dinner with them. Only to be, second, third question was, they asked me, what will you have? I said, let us start the discussion, we'll have. Why did you ask us to come here? Okay, so the point was, I was put on the spot and said, well, it's almost 1.5 years. We've not even got $1 million worth of business. Why are we here? I said, Rome was not built in a day. It takes time. But already we had plans, counter plans, everything in place. I should run the company here, but at least 3 days, every second, third week I'll be there in Uganda. We had a management team in place. Today we are 12 billion plus company in Uganda. That's what we aim to get. We have completed 10.1 billion last year. This was done by walking the talk. We say we are solution providers, we provided solutions. Business which was not placeable, we got it placed. And we also told them, this is not possible, you are having problem because of ABCD. Fix it, we'll be able to help you. There are some people who will not listen. I said, okay, then we would rather be happy to say no to them without making them wait for them. Then there were claims, big claims. Anyone would have said, okay, we are in fancy stage. A big claim could be a game stopper. We said it's an opportunity. We flew a guy, an assessor from overseas, into Kampala. We said you will not go from here until the job is complete. I know when the disaster strikes, the owners and the management they don't know what to do. They already have crisis to handle. So they will not be in a position to give you records. They will not be in a position to substantiate what they have lost correctly. They cannot find the contractor or the people who can fix their machines, etc. We got a guy who was capable, and he said, I asked him to work on all these fronts. Don't wait for the papers from the client. Let us tell them, this is what you need to fix in your machinery, this is what you require for stocks, this is what you require the building to be constructed. I have a contractor here. I have selected this contractor from a panel of 3 contractors who have quoted like this. This is their profile. They can fix your business, and the business can start producing what you are producing. These people were producing clothes for the export market. So we paid the claim, which was much more than $1 billion, in 26 days. So the point is, when we did this, every year we are having an accretion of probably 30% accretion in a market where people hardly get 7% accretion. So the point which I am trying to make is, someone mentioned about hard work. Hard work, you need to have some special skills which you need to demonstrate. If you do these things, and any Tanzanian company instead of being a company operating in Tanzania, can also go out and work overseas, and can make our flags fly high in countries in the region, at least to start with.
Oh, wow. I think
we should go regional or do national expansion. My names are Patrick Maige. I'm from Creativity Masters Company Limited. As the first speaker started, for you to understand our point of view, I would just give you a brief on what we do. Our company was established, it's one of the youngest, I think, in the house, in 2014. And our aim was to fill the gap in debt collection services in Tanzania. We saw most of the companies, most of the corporates have been dealing with law firms or auctioneers who are not doing proper professional debt collection. So we wanted to fill that gap. We wanted to bring international standards within the local market. We wanted to integrate our processes to fill our local culture. So with that in mind, we started a business that provides professional debt collection services. With the economic challenges, as you can see with the way our country is designed in terms of skip tracing, in terms of addresses, it's kind of very hard to know a person. You can do due diligence, you can do business with them, but once they're gone, sometimes it's a challenge getting them. So with that, we came up with a mechanism to ensure that we integrate our processes with our local culture. How can we provide professional debt collection with all these challenges? So based on the nature of our business, we prefer to expand nationally. It's a bit challenging for us to go regional, but we prefer, our business model prefers to expand nationally within Tanzania, at least in the next few years. Now, why within Tanzania? Why don't we want to go regional? As we brand ourselves to be the #1 professional debt collection providers in Tanzania, we feel that we have a very good market that has not been explored. We have so many opportunities in Tanzania, so much opportunities in terms of debt collection. And I believe that it would not be wise for now to go outside without exploring and making sure that we service every corporate in Tanzania, without making sure that we have services, we have offices in every region in Tanzania. So with that in mind, we focus mainly on the national expansion. But with that, we still have lots of challenges in terms of our legal frameworks, in terms of financial frameworks. Debt collection involves information sharing, but that is not readily available in Tanzania. They're trying to come up with the systems like CRB or Credit Info, trying to designing the defaulters database. But still, the way they get information is not enough. There are people that they can get a loan, let's say, from one bank and default, but still get another loan from another bank. Or some of them, they default to the corporate levels, but it's only the bank that provides the information to the CRB. So we have had so many cases of default because of the information sharing. So that is a massive challenge that we are trying, as well as a company, to share the experience, to try and advise the authorities and other stakeholders that we need to come up with a mechanism of sharing this information, so that when a person defaults, let's say in one corporate, then they shouldn't be able to access credit in another corporate. But other challenges, we know nowadays you're trying to do professional debt collection, and we understand the defaulters, they also have their rights. But with our legal framework, some of them, they take advantage of their rights, and it becomes very hard to collect. If you push them too hard, if you threaten them, let's say, with the legal measures, everyone knows how the system works. So most of the people have been on the losing end when it comes to recoveries of their outstanding balances. Especially the banks, they're the ones that have been crying within the recent years. So with that, what we did was we designed a professional debt collection approach, whereby we try to sit down with the defaulters and try to bring them to understand why they have to settle their balances. And with this, it has proven to work, because some of them you realize that they don't want to meet the obligations, not because they don't have the money, or they don't have the capacity or the ability to pay, but it's just because they've been introduced to the wrong approaches. So our approach has been very unique. We sit down with them, we talk to them, we provide them solution. We help them to raise a proper payment plan that they can commit, and eventually they end up committing and cooperating. So with that, then we cover that gap with the legal framework, that we don't have to go to court for them to be able to meet their obligations. But other challenges that we have found, most of the corporates in Tanzania, we do business with no proper credit management. That we extend credit without proper information, extend credit without proper information. And our daily transactions, we don't keep proper records of what we do. We just trust each other too much. We say this is the Tanzania way of doing business. That I know, let's say Mr. James is a very good friend of mine, please extend credit to them. But when it happens that they default, whether in personal or as a corporate, it becomes very hard to trace the documentation that has led to that outstanding balance. So these are the challenges. Now with that, we came up with a solution of providing corporate trainings in debt collection and credit management. So we normally run classes where we teach people all aspects on how they can maximize their sales, but also ensuring that at the end of the sale, they are able to recover their monies. So we also provide corporate trainings in debt collection. We also do trainings on sales and credit management that have impact on how people can do business, but realize their payments towards the end. Because we believe that a sale without collection is not a sale. It's just a waste of resources. On the success stories that we have dealing nationally is we are trying to position ourselves as the #1 professional debt collector. So there is a chance of becoming monopolization, that if we can be #1, then we can service everyone on board. Yeah. So with that, we try to educate the masses. We've been issuing some of the with some of the local newspapers. We've been trying to tell them what we do, and we discuss with them. We show them on how they can benefit. But also we are trying to advise some of the authorities on how we can have a platform of shared information, such as association, let's say for credit professionals, whereby people can be trained, people can have association to discuss these challenges and all that, especially also with the credit staff, for example, the ones that work with the banks, because they deal with the same kind of clients. So we are trying to create like an association whereby we can have a platform and forum for credit professionals in the debt collectors. I'll be brief, as I say, because I'm still young and I don't want to take much of your time. But if there anything that you need to understand in terms of professional debt collection or on how we can add value to your organizations, then I'll be more than happy to speak to you or schedule an appointment. Yeah, we provide the solution. And as from Jubilee that you've said from Alliance Insurance, I apologize, that you can give us a test on the insignificant amount of your standing balance, then you can test us and see how much we can turn that bad debt into cash flow. Very much, you're welcome. Our office is located at NMB House, 4th floor. Yeah, please feel free to pop in anytime. Thank you very much.
Now, before we move to the panel discussion, I want to share something. Last year we had this same event at Serena Hotel, and there was a CEO who couldn't make it, so he had to send his representative. And when he came, he had a chance to meet someone who happens to be his client today. Someone who is bringing much money to them as clients. So for me, I see this space to be very, like an opportunity. So we should try and capitalize on it. Talk to many people as possible. Talk to someone you've never met before. And who knows, maybe tomorrow that person will be your client somewhere. Then somehow, yeah. So now we move to the panel discussion, and as MC I have to draw my curtains down by calling on the moderator to take it out from here. So on this note, I invite Mr. Gracious Kilare to take over as the moderator. Thank you.
You have a mic, so whenever I ask questions, so you can take it from there. So I want to know, Mr. Krishna, when someone is saying regional business, what does he mean when someone says regional business? Maybe someone might ask himself, because there is a regional, there is a national, there is a global. So what is a regional business? And how these trade blocks in Africa is accelerate regional business? Yes.
East African integration and region was already was on the drawing board and was in practice also to some extent. So the region, before you spread internationally, at least there is some kind of a homogeneity within the East African countries, and there was a lot of support. If you are an East African player, there are organizations even within the country, within the region, which is available where you can have information from. Secondly, a lot of your clients also go region-wise, they spread. The question is asked, are you a regional player or are you restricted to within the country? And insurance being a bit different, like banks, most of our goods goes from here to at least in the region for sure. A lot of our clients have got businesses in the region, and we do import quite a lot. Tanzania is a country which imports quite a lot of its goods from overseas. But by being here, you can insure goods coming from anywhere in the world. By being here, you can ensure projects which are being set up by Chinese, Japanese, so on and so forth. But to sell insurance, say to Rwandese, to Ugandans, to Kenyans, you need to be closer to home, because each country has got their own licensed companies, and the regulator would also like you to be a licensed operator in that country, because if something goes wrong, you become answerable with the capital being there. So this is what is regional, because for us, we have not created anything. We have worked on the premise which has been set by East African integration and East African region. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. And Mr. Jubru, what is the challenge for you to come to Tanzania and operating in Tanzania? And also, generally, maybe you can speak at general level from GTB, Guarantee Trust Bank. They expand from different GTB. They expand to different countries in Africa, more than 6 countries, I think. So, what is the challenge to operate in the regional level? At regional level? Yes.
Thank you very much. Like I mentioned earlier, Guarantee Trust Bank is currently in 10 African countries. And while Mr. Krishna was speaking, he said you need to be successful in your own country before you start thinking of stepping out to other environments. And truly that's just the practical way to expand on a regional basis. Guarantee Trust Bank started from Nigeria, like I mentioned. Gradually, gradually we spread within the West African region, Gambia, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone. We did our first Francophone expansion to Cote d'Ivoire. And today, within the West African space, we're in 6 countries. And we kept asking ourselves as an organization, this organization needs to get beyond the West African franchise. We need to become an African franchise. And for us to become an African franchise, which other regional block is the block we want to focus on? And the bank sat down, had a strategic plan some 7-8 years ago, and said, okay, let's look at greenfield or brownfield options. Which one of them will give us that expansion that we require? Because the truth is, return on capital for equity for the bank today has been in excess of 30% the last 10 years on the West African side. And we're saying, see, this capital, let's see, where else can we deploy it? Even though for the shareholders, it was a tough decision. They're now taking out capital that's earning you 30% and going to put it in new environments that you are going to make losses in the first few years. However, going into the future, you need to start looking for how to diversify your income sources. And that was how we came into East Africa and decided to adopt a brownfield approach in Kenya, which gave us that presence in Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda. But like I mentioned, we were looking at the East African bloc, and Tanzania is critical to the completion of the presence in that bloc, because customers in Kenya, most of the time, have some business to do in Rwanda, Uganda, and Tanzania. Customers in Uganda have also businesses to do across the region. And the next question is, oh, they're not in Tanzania. We have a large business there. So today, truly, we've just operated for 7-8 months. We're already seeing the we're establishing accounts in Tanzania, and simultaneously those entities are saying, oh, we are regional, we are present in the other countries, we will also deal with it. So truly, it's important to have that regional presence, because it will give the customers what they require in terms of spread and ability to access services across the region. And for you also as a service provider, you would also be able to harness the opportunities available to you. Thanks.
Okay, that's good. So there is the issue of regional market strategy, which is very critical. Most of the companies I've seen actually in Tanzania, South Africa, Nigeria, being in this country, and I see that most of the companies, like recently there was one company came in Tanzania, and they came with a home market strategy, so they end up failing. So how Guarantee Trust Bank is going to sort out the issue of regional market strategy? How are you going to use a home back strategy, or are you going to, be familiar or customize? Most of the CEOs want to know maybe which one works. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I had talked about this initially. But truly, if you decide to spread regionally, or you go into a new country, and you want to operate based on your strategy from your own country, the probability of failure becomes very high. Because truly, the expectation in Tanzania is different from the expectation in Kenya. It's different from the expectation on the West African side. The West African and the East African markets really are completely different. A lot of even stakeholders, some international stakeholders we work with, asked us, West African banks have not been successful in East Africa. GT Bank, how do you intend to do it? And the truth is, I think most of us come in and believe that because we are very successful on the West African side, the same approach will work on the East African side. And truly, in the few period we've been here, we've realized that it's different, and that's why we've gone the collaborative way. And I will mention some of the few things we have done. The East African market has a very strong electronic financial segment that we don't even have on the West African side. Because on the West African market, we have not been able to grant the telecommunication companies as much leverage as has been granted in East Africa. And that's why East Africa remains the reference point in terms of electronic payments all over the world today. So on coming into Tanzania, the first few things we did was to integrate our systems with M-Pesa, Tigo Pesa, and Airtel Money. Today we are fully integrated with those three platforms. So we have provided our clients with a product to enable them do both wallet to bank and bank to wallet transfer, because we have realized that that is critical here. It doesn't exist from the West African side, but if you don't provide that service, you won't even be listened to.
So how do you sort out this kind of issue? Because you are operating in Rwanda, in Uganda, Comoro, and recently we're going to open the new branch in Kenya. So how do we sort out this issue of communication between the regional and subsidiary office? And do you think a regional headquarters, is it enough? Yeah.
Thank you. See, in fact, this question was posed to us when we operated our first office, not the second office. We had the principal partner of PwC, he's our audit committee chairman in Uganda. He asked us, how is that this office, when we go to this office, some client goes to this office, the C.E.O. could say, I'm waiting for an approval from Tanzanian office. Like Mr. Jubilee mentioned, I'm looking at it. Even our CEO of the office can say, I'm looking at it, I'm waiting for the approval. See, the best way to sort this issue is, it's all there in the system. We don't realize. Each company, each tentacle of our Tanzanian company is a subsidiary company. They have their own capital, they have their own management. They're all empowered. There is no point opening offices without giving them powers. In our office, I'm here, all my people are totally empowered. Only thing I do is keeping a track of what's happening anywhere. Keeping an eye for warning signals. Weekly, daily, monthly report is all I want. Whether it is being made, whether it is being rightly made, whether I am getting right reports. They are all empowered. Second thing what you do, the gone are those days of headquarters, head offices. We believe in serving leaders, servant leaders, facilitators. They come to us when they have a problem. How do we solve it? They don't come to us saying, give us approval. Approval is there with them. When they get stuck, they come to us. So we have a good finance department. We have good IT department. We have a good marketing department. And all these departments are brothers and sisters of the departments which exist in their own all offices. HR department. Each one have got this specialization. But we exchange information because we don't want to learn the same lesson by ourselves everywhere. So if something positive or negative happens anywhere, gets transmitted. There is a way. So we are, so long as if the head office believes that you are mere facilitator. At the same time, if things doesn't go wrong, it doesn't go right, then alert them. This is not the way. And take quick assessment of the situation and give them quick solution. That's the way forward. I have answered your question? Yes.
So, Mr. Fach, I would like to support what Mr. Krishna just mentioned. He has spoken from the head office perspective. I would like to speak from the subsidiary perspective. The CEO at the subsidiary level also need to understand what the powers and what expectations the head office has of you, what you have ability to conclude within your own environment, and what you need to also refer back to the head office. Because on the banking side, it's important that there is still some level of reference back to the head office, because the local CEOs are given approval limits within your confines. However, when it gets above a particular size, for good corporate governance, it's important to also carry the head office along. But most subsidiary CEOs, as they step out, take responsibility without remembering that there is some line where I need to refer back. And when they're making commitments to their clients in the local countries where they are, they're making those commitments assuming that the bulk stops on my desk. So you go to a client, you hear the size of the transaction, you know it's beyond you. Excuse me, you should estimate the timeline within your system it will take you to get such approvals in place, so that you're not making commitments that you won't be able to deliver on. And that's why most local CEOs have challenges, because when they go to their clients, they make a commitment and will deliver in 2 days, but you know you don't have the powers to deliver in 2 days. At the end of the day, you can only deliver in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, the client is gone. And for good corporate governance today, especially in most sectors, there must be some level at which is beyond you. So truly, I would advise that if you find yourself working at the subsidiary of an organization, please understand the expectation of your head office. It's critical. And don't work outside what you know the organizational goals are. Your role, you are the country head. It's also important for you to communicate and try to create new business opportunities, but you must channel it through the right approach and ensure that you include the timelines of passing it through those structures that you have in your organization. That way, these challenges of, oh, it's head office that is stuck, and people should take responsibility. When things don't go through, you are the man in charge. You take responsibility. People should stop saying, oh, sorry, it's my head office that did not approve. It's my board that turned it down. You are the board. You take responsibility. So please, that's my comment. Thank you.
Just a quick thank you.
Yes, sir.
I remember what he said is very, very right. Each of these officers have been given authority levels. And what we have is we call as treaty. And then underwriting capacity, all this, it's all reduced to treaty, and they have to look at it, and on that basis they have to do it. In case if things go beyond treaty, they have to refer. I remember, incidentally, Mr. Jubrel came to our office probably a year back or more than a year back. He had gone and met our CEO for the Tanzanian operations. At that time, he was trying to put his building where they have their office. So he said that they needed a first demand bond. So our person, the Tanzanian CEO, he said, we can't give you because first demand bond is beyond our authority. No one can give you. Sorry, but thank you very much for your coming here. If there is any other thing, we'll help you. So in our structure, if someone has to say no, he has to tell me. Someone has to say no to a claim, he has to tell me. So after he left our office, going down the stairs, he called me and said, this person had come from GT Bank and he wanted first man bond. I said, I'm sorry, we couldn't do it. I politely said, luckily I had his number. I didn't disconnect my CEO's phone. I called him. Jubre, where are you? Come up. He came to my office. I said, we'll make a special exception. Because this bank has credentials. Because, like any good rule should have exceptions.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
So, he didn't get into the car. He came with his man and the contractor. Then my guy was asking, sir, do you have the power? I said, I don't have the power, but I'll seek some special acceptance. I'll talk to the reinsurers abroad. And before he reached his office, I could secure power also. So I didn't have the power. So the point is, you need to go the extra mile. And saying no, sometimes there are, I've attended some conferences in Australia, they teach you how to say no. But don't say yes without having powers, but work hard for saying yes. Thank you.
That's it.
Mr. Patrick, one of the conditions to go regional is to have a system back home. So someone needs to have a system so that you can work back home. And to have a system, it means that you need to have a very good manpower, and apart from manpower, you need to have the automatic system, which sometimes when you are not at the office, it still operates. So how do we sort out this kind of issue so that we can get into a regional business?
For me, as what I understand is you have to make sure you are very good at home before you can go outside.
Yeah.
And you being very good is you exhaust all the marketing opportunities that are available before you consider going outside. You need to consider all the systems that you have before you can go outside. Because once you expose yourself to the regional, you're exposing yourself to a competition with the people that have financial muscles, with people that have been in business for so long. And if you're not careful, it might damage your business. So as a local company, what you do is you try to grow within first, and you invest in the systems, you invest in the technology, no matter what you do, but you invest in technology, you automate your services. You test them here to see that they work. Nowadays, people need 24/7 business responses. There are some people that they want their reports, let's say, at night. So what you do is you're trying, you try to come up with a system whereby one can access reports on demand. You don't have to be in the office for you to generate the reports. So it needs investment, it needs muscles, it needs for you to exhaust all the possible opportunities. And once that is done, then you can think of going regional. Yeah, but as I said, it is very important to make sure that you fit within your local environment. You test all the avenues within your local environment, then you start going regional. And as you've heard from other speakers, they did not go regional on the first day. They first capitalized the local market. For example, the GT Bank, they made sure that they're all over West Africa before they decided to come to East Africa. Yeah, even in the case of insurance, they made sure that they exhaust the marketing first, they put the system in place, then they go regional.
But when I'm talking about system, sometimes most of the entrepreneurs, they have two options or three options. One of the options is to use an existing system which someone developed maybe abroad. We call it franchise, so that they can accelerate revenue easily, and they don't hassle too much, and they don't need to have to hassle too much, because when they develop your own system, it means that you have to hassle too much, maybe for 3 years or 10 years sometimes, so that the system can work before you start selling or expand to other countries. So, which one is the best option? Franchise or to develop it from scratch? For you?
That is a bit technical, but what I would say is it will also depend on your organization culture. What do you want to achieve? Because it's risky giving franchise to someone else. If
no,
they don't,
I mean that
yeah.
which is the best option for you to go? Either to buy a franchise or to develop your own system, and then later on you can expand abroad, and also you can even sell the franchise to other people who are lazy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying is the best option would be for me to develop the system, then give it to other people. But before I give it to other people, then I'll have to make my presence known so that I add value to the business. Yeah.
Okay, but it has been it's sometimes taken a long time to develop a well-structured system, and especially in an environment like East Africa or Africa. As you know, most of especially black-owned business, they are struggling with how to to have a company that works easily, to create a culture, to create everything that it works as an international company. Most of the African companies are struggling with that. When you go to some of the African companies, you see somehow frustration, a lot of frustration. So, because they lack a system. And the solution is to go for franchise. And I see most of, especially Asian community in Africa, they opt to some franchise business from abroad. And you can see it works easily. They make a lot of money, and also the owner of the franchise, the owner of the system also make a lot of money out of it. And there's no stress. And if you go there, you see things are working smooth, and even customers are more willing to give more business than. Don't you think that is a risk for someone to opt to develop his own system from scratch?
It is
like East Africa.
Yeah, it is very risky if you ask me. But in the long run, depending on the angle that you're looking at, there are things that I'm looking at on what do you want to deliver, and what do you want to implement within the regional market. Yeah, so it's risky, it might take time, but in the long run, if you ask me, instead of opting for franchising, I would opt into having a system that is developed within. That means I can operate, let's say, in Kenya and Uganda as I'm operating in Tanzania. Then, having tested that, then you can opt to go into franchising.
And I want to hear from you, Mr. Jubri. Maybe I have my own business, I developed it from scratch, and there are some other entrepreneur came to your bank and they want a loan from you. You use a franchise system. Which one are you gonna give a loan first?
Okay, thank you very much. Lending is significantly tied to repayment. If you have a good business structure that has reliable cash flows and you're sure repayment will happen, whether it is local or franchised, truly we will support it. Because you can have a franchise will sell day one because people know the brand. But one thing we lack in Africa today is the fact that we can't identify African homegrown businesses. My group CEO will always ask, name 5 African institutions, homegrown African institutions. He will struggle. Most of the institutions all over Africa are still international institutions at the top end. We need to grow our businesses, and that's what we plan to do in Guarantee Trust Bank. The bank is a full-grown African franchise. From day one, it started with 25 shareholders, and it's at the point where it is today. We must take that risk, because long term, that's what will pay off for us. And like we had mentioned earlier, we need localized entities, because we are the ones that understand our environment. So even though you bring something that is successful from Europe and Asia into Africa, yes, it will work, but it will not meet the ultimate demands of our people. So we must look for how to support it and ensure that in the long term we have African franchises that we can go for our heart and say, oh, yes, this is homegrown African. And in the future we can now start thinking.
Mr. Krishna, I want to know from you, there is the issue of cost strategy. When you are opening business abroad, there is an issue of maybe can I go with a back home price strategy or according to the competition? Which one is the best if you are operating in a regional level?
There's an old saying, be a Roman when you're in Rome. So, all side, what they say, one size fits all, doesn't work. But if you look at it, if you think that others are for you, things doesn't work. We have to think what I can do for others, what I can, how do you look at the requirement of people, look at the competition in that country, look at the stakeholders in that country, look at the areas where they are being underserved, not being served, and how you can fit your scheme of things to their requirements. I think that's the way. And normally what we do, it's very important. We had done the strategy for 2018 for our companies in the region in 2017. We have achieved the target 90% after 6 months. Then we realized that with this, if you are 90% only in 6 months' time, December being, people don't work after 10th of December. So in 4 months' time, no way I will be able to achieve the target. So we went to the drawing board, found out what all we had promised, that we'll do this, we'll get business from A, B, C, D, whether those things have come. If it does not come, why it does come? Why it does not come? We got all the answers. And what do we do to move ahead? Then, if you aim at, say, probably 20 billion, then only you'll get, say, and if you work for it, you'll be happy if you get 10 billion. So I told my people, we are short by 7 billion. Let us put 10 billion as our target. Then only we'll achieve 7. So after this meeting, I'm going to have a big meeting with my people as to how they have progressed, because I left that place 1 week before. I have left them to work. So the point is, strategy is always for a particular country specific, customer specific. And so long as you are customer centric and are able to say also no when people come up with some different ideas which is not going to fit into your scheme of things, you have to say no. But having said that, your experience elsewhere also helps. Then above all, you need to be flexible. Thank you.
So while we are now allowed some few questions from audience, so we'll continue some few questions from at our panel, and then while if you have any question, you can raise up your hands, and then one of our colleague, Mr. Steve, is going to give you a mic, and then you're going to speak. You're going to ask any question you have for our panelists, because time is running out, and we have to finish at 9:30. So that's the deadline. So while we are continuing, there is the issue of culture. culture barrier, Mr. Krishna. When you're operating from Tanzania, it's very different from Kenya. Sometimes Kenya, they have their own way of thinking, their own way of doing things, which is very different from Tanzania. Kenya is more of a cashless society. They use MasterCard, they use whatever. In Tanzania, it's easy for them to use Pesa, whatever. And there is the issue of market insurance penetration in Tanzania is less than 1%. I think is around 0.9, and I think the Africa level is 15%, and here Tanzania is below that. So the way to approach this market is very different from the way you can approach Kenya market or even the Rwanda market. So how do you handle the issue of culture barrier? Because we speak different languages sometimes. I don't think Komoro they speak, all the books they speak Swahili. So how do you handle that? And then you can prepare Mr. Jubri from that question. You can top up your point because they know Nigeria is very different. Because even the way Nigeria they're driving car, they use left hand.
Yes.
So you'll be shocked. You're coming in the country where everything is different from West Africa. Yes.
I think you're spot on.
Yes.
Culture is different.
Yes.
The way people think
Yes.
are different. But sometimes I get these proverbs into my mind. They say all roads lead to what it is, vertical. Okay.
Yes.
So, though there is a tremendous amount of heterogeneity, we also have that homogeneity in us.
Yeah.
Insurance is one.
Yes.
I have not gone to sell bananas to other countries.
Yes.
Insurance is one. The needs are one. How do you, so that you need to look at the similarities and also similarities, and how do you present yourself so that you add value. If that is there in your mind, culture and other things you can overcome, because culture is very, very important to man, and we need to be very conscious of that. Each country is, but that's the reason why we didn't venture to go to Japan to start our operations. We are in our backyard, who are relatively all sudden Africans have got still, when they go out, when we attend seminars, no matter West African, East African, they cling together because they are Africans.
Yes.
So we have that homogeneity,
Yes.
and the cultural aspects we take into account. And another thing, as Jubril mentioned, he has got two Nigerians, rest all are Tanzanians. So in Comoros, you will not believe, with English, Swahili, nothing works there. It's French, Comorian, which works. I don't know French, but I can read the pulse of people, pulse of clients. With the people there, we go, body language, then over time, yes, now the extent probably, Jubril knows Swahili, I know French to that extent. You need to be having the capacity to link up spontaneously with people. If you can do that linking, I think we can be successful. That culture is very, very important. When you have Comorians with you, when you have Ugandans with you who dominate, when you empower them, so obviously the cultural aspects are totally taken care. Have I answered?
Yes. So what is
Mr. Krishnan has said, it's not, without culture and the regional, as you step out as a regional player, achieving success becomes very, very difficult. Coming into Tanzania, as we were coming, several stakeholders, even the regulators in Tanzania, said, GT Bank, you're a Nigerian bank. Are you sure you can manage our people? Are you sure you can work with our people? The culture is different. In Nigeria, if I back at that person, he knows why I'm backing at him, nothing personal. You can't back in Tanzania. If you back, the next day the guy is like, I have my personal. You understand? So the environments are different. So truly one thing we came into Tanzania with is it must be vice versa enculturation. We need to adopt the cultures of Tanzania and also try to pass on some of our own culture within the organization to the team we have built. That's the only way we can survive here. And as you step out regionally, please, we need to take into significant cognizance the culture of the environment we have gone into. Realize in Tanzania, the team would like to have some fun. Maybe every Friday, sometimes just needs to be out there. Not, it can't be work. Even though it's African too, but you know, you must get to the point where people just want to relax. And it's different. West Africa and East Africa are completely different. But truly, we're trying to ensure we tap into that culture, and with that, the doors will open as we step across countries. Thank you.
Even Europe, the way Europe people close business is through golf. When you're going to play golf, but in Tanzania, is somehow you meet at a bar or somewhere at a restaurant, and you close deal. And when you have a golf program that does not work, it doesn't work. So it's somehow different. White people think the way to close business in Tanzania is to invest in that. When it comes to the reality in Tanzania, it does not work. So Mr. Krishna, I want to know from you the use of currency, currency fluctuation, and currency sometimes fluctuates every time when you're writing. So how does it affect your business, and how does Alliance Insurance is sorting out this kind of thing so that you can maintain, you don't lose your money or capital from other countries?
First of all, again, it's no rocket science. For most of the questions you asked, I say, I think you mentioned or someone mentioned here, which is very, very good, that don't start from the scratch. Always look for resources which is time tested, fall back upon, then apply your mind for special things or wherever modifications are required. So as far as there are many countries, like we spoke of multinationals when I started. These days it's very common, people working, the companies work in many countries with different currencies, and if you don't follow some basic principles, the currency fluctuation itself will kill you. But for us it's relatively easier. All these currencies are pegged to, in a way, informally pegged to dollar. My brother here from GT Bank can speak better on this. But what we do is, if we have agreed in hard currency to pay, we keep the reserves in hard currency. If it is a local currency promises, we keep the money in local currency. And to provide buffer, we keep hard currency buffer more, because it's easy to convert hard to local currency and vice versa. So long as you keep this thing in mind, and also we have a report on a quarterly basis. What are our commitments in hard currency? How much we have? And if anyone has to convert hard currency to local currency anywhere, he has to take my permission.
Okay. Without your permission?
Yeah, because because see, if they have to convert, if they are getting their money and meeting their obligations, it's okay. What happens, you have to be very careful, it should not result in mismatch. Tomorrow we shouldn't be in a situation, it doesn't happen at all.
Yeah, sure.
But why I'm saying they have to take my permission, it's so important, otherwise they can mess it up.
Yeah, sure.
It's very, very important.
Yeah.
So hard currency conversion, well, it's not a great deal. I keep seeing my mobile phones, I'll say yes, agree, done. Okay, but and they have to put the value for how much they are going to do it. Because this is so important. If you don't do it rightly, tomorrow you may not be able to meet your obligations. Why companies fail? These are some, you mentioned about some 8 rules. So for any organization there are few no-go zones, and the exchange is important.
So what's your point on that, Mr. Jubu?
Thank you very much. To support what Mr. Krishnan has said, those are the standing rules in terms of currency.
Yes.
You must keep your transactions in the currency of repayment. You can't be doing a dollar transaction and you keep your source of funding in Tanzanian shillings. When you're doing it, vice versa, it can work. Like he said, you should keep more of, because most emerging economies, most African economies, our currencies are on the devaluing side. So whether you like it or not, the rate of devaluation may be quite low, but for every time you mismatch, you're on the losing side. A 1%, a 2% devaluation affects your transaction, and that's why when customers come to us as a bank and you say, oh, most people have at the back of their mind, I would prefer to borrow in dollars because the rates are lower. But what we try to advise is please only borrow in the currency of your revenues. If you are collecting payments in Tanzanian shillings, please don't borrow in dollars. You may get advantage of lower interest today, but the day you have to pay back and there's a devaluation, that's 5% margin that you thought you had made. You can lose it within 70 seconds. And that's why you see when there is a massive devaluation, a lot of companies are in trouble, which is existing in Tanzania today. Most of the trading entities have a lot of exchange losses on their books because they have borrowed in foreign currency and their revenues are in Tanzanian shillings. So when they need to pay back, they need 3 times the volume to be able to meet that obligation. And it's a loss. Before you know it, the entire capital is gone. So truly, standing rules, keep your revenues and lending positions in the same currency, so there's no mismatch. However, it's advisable to keep more on the hard currencies because truly those currencies are very stable, and at every point in time, it will be on the appreciating side. Thank you.